Everybody, welcome to Sykes' Survivor Talk for episode 10 of Winners at War. Welcome Greg, Randy, Grant Mosby, long-time listener, first-time caller, or never-time listener, but a Survivor fan. Leanne has been here for, I think, every one of these things, as has my brother Paul. So nice to see all you guys. We're going to do a little bit of a discussion of, I guess, the vote out. We'll start off, because, you know, the way we kind of roll through here is that most usually the vote out is sort of on the top of people's minds. We discuss that and then we'll kind of recap the episode. At the end, we do a little bit. Greg will go through the spreadsheet for the pool. My brother will give us his player of the week, which, you know, he didn't watch the episode this week, so whatever, make something up. And
I'm making it all up.
Perfect. Let's see.
Nothing will have changed.
If the quality varies at all from the normal quality of, because usually it's a very good segment. And then Randy closes with a segment that is just based on looks entirely, always. Randy's going to list a bunch of attractive survivors for reasons.
I have to have that list.
I got it here.
The drop in attendance today. Nobody wants Randy's good-looking picks today.
I think maybe people hated that episode, but usually we have 9 or 10 people here. I'm suspecting there's a Facebook problem, maybe because I couldn't access. So, Greg, we might want to make sure that we send out the link via email as well next time, because I still can't access Facebook. I had to poke around.
Sure.
No big deal. Let's just run with this anyway. So, okay, Tops, Paul, have you been spoiled on this episode?
I know everything that happened in the episode. I mean, not in great detail, but I know how the vote went and who voted. And for something like this, the show really needed to spend time with people's thought process, because from what I heard, it became a chaotic mess. And then the viewer was kind of left a little bit confused by the goings on.
That's how I felt. What did you guys think? Did you have a sense for who was going home at all?
No clue. I didn't really know. No, I didn't really know who was going on at home either. Like, I knew it was going to be one of the smaller group and stuff, especially after Jeremy left. But like Tyson, okay, he's an easy out. I wasn't really expecting him to go very far anyways. But at the same time, it's just like, Denise, Tyson, Kim, like, who knew? So, yeah.
Tyson wasn't even on my radar until they said it. And you know what I don't like about the last couple of seasons? Where they start whispering now at Tribal. Come in, have your decision. I hate it. It's just been the last 3 or 4 seasons.
Well, it's also because we can't hear anything either. Like, we can't hear what they're whispering. Like, it's not subtitled. So if, as a viewer, it doesn't come across very well.
No.
Oh, it's riveting.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not compelling TV. You'll get an occasional subtitle where it'll be like, no, or I'm not sure. And then there'll be like a lot of confused looks and blank stares and like, oh, Jeremy's leaving, or like, these shots that they edit in out of sequence. But as far as like who's with whom, I don't really know. They don't reveal on the show who voted for whom. Now I know now because I went and looked it up. But I do think a lot of these votes, I think what they are is they're straightforward votes. I did as I did last week, I kind of went through the conversation at camp. Right? Starts out, Jeremy is talking about splitting Sarah and Sophie. He's like, Sarah first. Sarah's like, no, I want to go for Kim. And then Tony, at the same conversation, is like, I think Tyson. And that's what ends up actually happening. And that's kind of what ended up happening last week, is you hear Adam early on, and then the show creates this air of excitement. I think the show really feels like we can't have an obvious boot anymore. We get so many people who are thrilled and excited when there's been this misdirect, and then, oh my God, I can't believe that Sandra got voted out. Ugh.
But that's bad storytelling, though.
I agree. Yeah, it's bad.
Right? Like, Survivor was actually really good at setting up, like, the 2 possible votes usually, right? And they would give you reasons why people were thinking one way and why they were thinking the other way. And so if you were paying attention, you could ascertain reasonably based on whatever you think everyone's going to do, who's going home. This is just a chaotic mess. It's like writing a mystery novel and, like, laying some foundation and some foreshadowing, and then just pulling the rug out and being like, oh no, it was the butler the whole time, right? Like, there's no art, there's no artistry to this level of storytelling.
I don't mind that they have whispering during Tribal and people like going over, because it creates chaos but what I didn't like about last night was that you got to Tribal, Jeff asks one question, the question doesn't even get answered. It starts being answered, and then all of a sudden whispering starts. And then the entire rest of Tribal is just like the whispering and talking about how this is crazy. Everybody's whispering. There was no questions being answered like normal, and getting insight on people's answers, and those answers that you get a lot of the times give you some insight into possibly where alliances are, who's on the outs, and who's together, and stuff like that. So having a whole episode of them just whispering was annoying.
Yeah,
but do you think that's kind of based on the fact that it was like a really 5-5 split, and it was just like it was so undecided going in, like how they were going to turn? Like I feel like now that there's like a clear 5 and then a 4, like I feel like it's not going to be as whispery at Tribal, maybe, just because I feel like if that 5 stays together, they can start just picking off the other people, and it should go down. But
in recent times, though, that group of 5 has never stuck together for past this vote, like just in recent seasons anyway.
Yeah, fair.
Here's my hot take. I don't think there is a group of 5. I think Michelle is with that group. I think she's doing it on the sly. I think her and Nick are together, but they're trying to distance themselves. But that's the thing that we're not seeing. Okay, Michelle votes for Tyson last night. There's only 2 votes for Sophie, right? Denise doesn't get a vote. There's 2 votes for Sophie. It's Tyson and it's Kim. So those are the 2 people who are out of the loop. Denise is out of the loop also. Jeremy is probably out of the loop, is my guess. And I think he is for sure because he doesn't play that advantage. Right? Although that was his last opportunity to play that advantage, so I'm not really that surprised he did it. And
apparently he was going home though if he didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe that's true. Yeah, I think that might be true. And whatever. So they probably had that in their in their holster, like or in the chamber. Is that okay? We've got Jeremy is the number 1 vote, and if we can't get him, then we're going to go for Tyson in all likelihood. And I don't think it was as close as the episode laid it out to be. I think she didn't vote for, I don't know if she could have made any difference, but if you think about it, I kind of went through the math on this thing. There were 2 votes for Denise. If the 3 votes that were remaining had voted for Sophie, and Kim had picked the right person to put the idol on, then Sophie would have gone home. There's no way they would have put themselves in that position.
Unless it was just a last-minute audible and it was a miscalculation. They didn't know about Michelle's switch, right? That's the only kind of thing that makes sense.
What, the Denise Tyson camp?
Well, I think Michelle's switch, might have been due to Jeremy flying, right?
Yeah, that's really tough to say. You know why? Because we didn't hear from Michelle one time, except when she was explaining to Jeff how when women grow up, girls grow up, they become women, and then they have a different relationship. Fascinating human insight by Jeff Probst, as usual. Does Jeff Probst have some kind of he must have some degree in some just like deep interpersonal human relationships, and probably has a side gig as some kind of a psychologist. Or he just makes these really poor observations based on these like really rudimentary interactions he has with the survivors where he pretends to know their names if he sees them in public. I don't know if Jeff knows all the people really that well. Like a bunch of Randy's picks tonight for the hottest survivors of all time, Jeff could not pick them out of a police lineup. There's no way.
Unless they're men. He has a lot of man crushes.
Oh, he does, yeah. Oh, don't worry, Jeremy. Randy did pick some of Jeff's famous man crushes.
Okay, good. Yeah.
For sure. So we'll see some hot bods tonight. For sure. I tried to find some sexy before picks and then some like grotesque after picks.
I don't want to see the after.
You don't want to see the after? All right, well, we'll see how that goes.
Delusional bliss. That's what they look like still.
Well, don't get your hopes up about Tom Westman, all right? It's all right. Spoiler alert. Sorry, Randy. I don't want to ruin the reveals for you. I'm really, really, really sorry. I'm not as engaged as I have been because the episode was so poor. So Tribal in general bums me out. Because we didn't talk to Michelle one time, we have no idea what her allegiance is at all. I get it. She's with the 5, that she's not included in the whole Sophie. What do you guys think about Sophie standing up and saying, hey, how about we all just, this was new. Let's just all go over here. So Paul, you haven't seen the episode. Sophie
I heard that.
Just stands up and she's like, why don't the 5 of us just go over here and we'll make the decision?
Why didn't a camera follow them?
Why not bring a camera into that group, right?
Yeah.
That's what bugs me is that we're not privy to any of that stuff. They got 50 camera guys there.
Hey, why film any of this?
Well, yeah.
You're on a TV show, Sophie. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Like Tribal seems to be a free-for-all now, and they're not expecting it. Traditionally, they've sat there, they've answered questions, and they've gone up to vote, right? This is very new that
you sound like Tony explaining the game to Adam last week.
Yeah.
Well, this is the way you do it. Adam, you go up. You put your vote in. You write it down on a piece of paper. Then
We all
Jeff
answer
counts them.
Jeff's question, then we vote, and then we see who goes home.
And Jeff Probst used to have this shit on lockdown. Like, he would not let anyone get like remotely out of line at tribal council.
It happened once, and he let it go, and now everybody who's on the show is like, oh, this is what we do now. And I think they got to reel it back in, but I don't think they're ever going to reel it back in. Is this the beginning of the end? No, the beginning of the end happened a while ago, but are we on the – Paul, I know your take is that we're much closer to the end of Survivor than we are to the beginning.
Oh, yeah. You've jumped the shark, and you're on your way, like, on your way down.
Yeah, I would say so.
Because of doing that and basically saying, hey, us five, let's go over here and make a decision, do you think that will maybe put a little bit of a target on her back quicker than there would have been had she not done something like that? Because she's making herself look like almost she's the ringleader. Like, now we got to get rid of her because she's calling the shots. And she was
already targeted, though, right?
Her name came up tonight. Her name came up tonight for sure, but not by anybody important. Right?
No, but I mean,
Kim wanted to go for. Kim brings up Sophie. Here are the names that came up back at camp: Sarah, Kim, Tyson, Jeremy, and Sophie. Half of the players' names come up, which is the producers just trying to obfuscate the issue. There's only one person who wants to go for Sophie. I don't know, Greg. I honestly, it just seems like a pretty tight five. The reason that I think that five can't be that strong is because Tony's in it, and I don't think those guys can play with Tony for that long. Like,
well, the Tony's of next week's episode made Tony look like he's running around doing some crazy shit.
I mean, I sure hope so. I miss that Tony. I love that Tony.
What happened to Tony's like keeping all like the big guys together too, like the Lions as he called them? Did we get no insight into why that broke down so quickly?
We saw Jeremy coming after Sarah and Sophie early on, and so Tony didn't like that, I guess. Okay. And I think maybe that what breaks down that Jeremy bit. And then as far as Tyson's concerned, I mean, he voted out Tyson the first time, so I don't really know. Maybe he's like, well, there's 9 left. I got a strong 5. And where the fuck does Nick Wilson fit into all of this?
Your two-time Survivor winner, Nick Wilson.
That's probably it for me if Nick Wilson wins. That's a series of disappointing winners, one after the other. And if Nick Wilson takes oh, man. Can you imagine? Because then Nick Wilson's in the same conversation as, like, Sandra is one of the greatest winners of all time.
Pick someone in a better spot to make the final 3 now than Nick Wilson, though.
No, he's probably there.
Yeah.
No, I don't. They're really editing it so almost anybody could be there now. I think of all the players that are left in it,
right?
That I can't think of one player that's still in the game who can't possibly be final 3.
Maybe Denise.
I do think she's in trouble.
Yeah.
I don't think she's got a leg to stand on, really.
No.
I don't know.
I said it last week and I'll say it again. Like, I don't think Ben's going anywhere. I feel like he's just kind of like in the background, like not really doing much.
Nobody gives a shit about Ben at all. No one's. He gets a lot of confessionals, but because I guess he tells the story okay or something. Maybe they just like his accent and his hat. Can you imagine what he looks like without a beard? I should do that. See if I can find Ben without a beard. I guess when he was in the military, you're not allowed to have a stupid beard like that.
The way this show is set up, though, you're gonna get. At this point, you're going to get people wanting to get out people that have played a good game.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that leaves the people who are not threats to make it far in the game, which sucks for us because they're not doing anything and they're boring to watch. So
it's impossible to define what a good game is.
With the show, and what can they do to change that?
I think that premise kind of breaks down because I think it's impossible to define what a good game is in a modern era of Survivor, though, right? Like being too bold is a bad move in today's Survivor. So being under the radar for a certain amount of time is actually a strong game. So it's just very difficult to break that down.
Yeah, it's tough to say what makes a really good game anymore in Survivor. If you're somebody who, like Chris Underwood, and I'll bring that up constantly, played 13 days and won the goddamn show. That kind of opens a real can of worms. Like, you don't really need to play hard for 39 days to win the game anymore.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Jeremy playing the peacing out, Is this does that cost his team? I don't know if that particularly costs that
No,
team.
because of the vote steal.
I think it was a good move for him. Like,
it was a great, yeah.
He needed to do that, and the timing was better, because if he would have waited for the steal a vote and then pieced out, then that would have just made him look like super cowardly anyway, right? The fact that he did like kind of leave before that happened kind of saves him a little bit, but then also means that like now he's on the outs of the remaining 4, which is he could be a potential swing vote if Tony goes crazy and is like, yeah, let's take out Sophie now. Like, so maybe he will like figure prominently in the next episode, or else he'll just be the one to go.
I don't see a scenario where he doesn't go, and I think it looks worse that he used it first, because they're like, "What are you doing? We're gonna go 5-5." Like, whereas if like he'd already seen the vote steal first, they would already be behind a number, so his leaving would be inconsequential. But now he just kind of left his people like high and dry.
And the jury saw that too.
Right?
Yeah.
I
But
don't
how
know.
many people on that jury wouldn't have played that same card had they had it and they were in the game?
And he had to play it on this tribal too, and just like nobody knows obviously that limitation and stuff, but it's just like it worked out for him.
The jury can't fault the guy for having an advantage and using it and saving himself.
And it's an individual game. Who cares about the team right now? You're down to, this is you. You want to win.
But your numbers matter in this scenario, though, right? Because if Jeremy goes home next week, it doesn't really count for much.
But he had a feeling he might be going home this week.
No, I get it. I just don't.
Why not play it? I mean, I was like, good. You should have done that.
You have to play it, but the optics look bad.
His best chance this tribal would have been, if he stayed, would have been a 5-5 tie.
Yeah.
So,
but that goes a long way with the jury, though, if you're willing to go to rocks with people, right?
That would be exciting.
Yeah.
That would be exciting to have seen a 5-5. Plus, this is something that came up in the podcast I listened to last night. They needed that guy's vote, the other 4, right? If Michelle's on board, which I'm going on the record as saying I don't think that she was. But okay, let's just say for the sake of argument that she was. I think there's a reason we didn't hear from her at all, because she's not on board, but whatever.
Yeah.
And the vote sort of, plays that out. But, okay. Let's say it's 5-5. Tyson knows that Jeremy's got this thing where he can leave. I don't know if the rest of the team knows, but let's say the rest of the team knows. Kim can say, and I think this is a neat idea. Kim can say, look, fine. You stay. We need your vote. I'll play the idol on you. That way Jeremy's safe either way, right? And they have at least the 5-5 tie. And then maybe they get lucky and they do vote for Jeremy, and maybe they win that. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, but I mean,
been a smarter way, yeah.
But with the vote steal, it doesn't matter anyway. Right?
Oh, the votes. Right. The vote steal negates this entire conversation.
Well,
It creates a 6-4 advantage.
Had they played it at before going to tribal, that those other 4 or 5 say that they're on board with the Jeremy vote, let's make it easy, let's do Jeremy, maybe she wouldn't have played that steal a vote.
I think that I do think she was playing that regardless. I don't think they were willing to. That side doesn't need to go to rocks, because this is a perfect time to play that when you've got a possible tie situation. Even numbers. When you've got odd numbers, that's when interesting things can happen. Even numbers, it's really difficult. You rarely see a tie. And I don't think that there's anybody on either side who was so dead set on going to rocks that they would have not been willing to break that tie. And I do think that vote, because, you see, okay, so maybe this will back up my opinion here. When Jeff's like, so it's time to vote, both Sarah and Jeremy immediately at the same time, independently of one another, are ready to make that play. Sarah was going to make that play regardless of what Jeremy did, and vice versa. I think both of them. I mean, Jeremy was reading the room, and I think he's very, very good. As Paul, you pointed out last week, maybe the week before, Jeremy's very good at reading what's going on with him.
Mm-hmm.
I still think he was going to play it regardless. I do think it's right to play it. I think Grant's right. You've got to play that. It's his last opportunity to play it. So fucking play it.
Was there a restriction on the other advantage that the steal vote? Was that why she had to play it as well? Like they were both just like chalk and fit? Was there a restriction?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I don't.
Yeah, I'm curious about that too. Because why would she? If they knew that, like, if Michelle was for sure one of their numbers, and they knew that, they don't need to use that vote steal, right? So this is why I'm.
They still do. They still need to use it. I think.
Nope, so it's 6-4 with Michelle, right?
6-4 with Michelle, which means 4 votes. If they split 3-3.
Oh, if they're worried about an idol. Okay,
worried about an idol, which was in play, right?
Yeah,
so you can't simply do, I think what they did, they had to do.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. You got to make it so you can split the vote. You have needed numbers advantage enough that you can split the votes.
And they wouldn't have been able to split the vote with absolute certainty, which you can't always have on Survivor. Like then in that case, you just got to pick, the one person who you think's the vote's gonna go against. And,
so, I don't really like the idol play in that situation anyway.
No.
Trying to save, what's his name? Like I think that Kim should have hung on to that if she could have. Like,
that's interesting. If Kim knows it's not her, and if you're in that situation where you've only got 3 votes, you've got 3 allies left. What's that? Yeah, but
she's trying to gain majority for her side by playing it hopefully on the right person, and then their couple of votes send someone from the other side home. Jeremy's back at camp still. Now they have the 5 versus 4.
It's mathematically impossible for Kim to save someone in that position where there's 6 votes to 3 votes. Mathematically, it can't happen. Because the other side splits 3-3, and then you have 3 votes. They go to a redraw, somebody's gone. And there was even a theory last night that maybe this was the second vote, and that they just didn't play because they did that. They went through it, and it was 3-3-3, and so this was the second where they revoted. I don't believe that. But
right.
So there's no point. I agree. Kim, unless you're going to play it on yourself, and it's not coming to you, and she was ballsy enough to not play it on herself. I mean, it was a ballsy move if it pays off. But she did kind of blow it. And the whole Jeremy thing is like, it gets me one more day. Now they're down to 9 players. With 9, okay, there's a 5-person alliance. In theory, if this is true, versus 4. Somebody's on the bottom of that 5. And this is the Rob Sesternino. And I pick Rob as the best player because he would flip over to this side. You only need one person. You got to find, if you're in the 4, you got to find the one person who's willing to jump. Right? And then maybe you advance your position. The problem is at that, you're still 5th on either one of those sides, right?
What I would say to that is, did Tony ever take the easy vote in his season going down when they got down to 9 people? It was never the obvious vote.
He made crazy moves, and I'm hoping so badly that he injects some life into it now. This is where I don't know how I can't remember his early game and mid game, but his end game is just phenomenal, where it's just so surprising and so bizarre. He did have a couple of idols though, and everybody knew about them.
Yeah.
So that gave him so much leverage in that particular game. And if no one knows what season this was Cagayan, the original Brains Bronze Beauty. If you're going to rewatch a season for recent history, I think that's the one to do. It's
absolutely. Great. It's a top 5 season all time.
It's top 5 season all time. Yeah, maybe we should do a season ranking or top 5, if Randy runs out of bits. I think Randy's bits are sort of hovering and orbiting the attractiveness level of various survivors, or just the way Randy feels about them.
So last week it was best players who didn't win. Come on.
Yes, it was. To be fair,
not about
they were all. Were they? Well, yeah,
best players who didn't win who are hot.
I know. Come on.
I'm joking, Randy. I'm joking.
There's not that many atrocious looking people on Survivor.
No, they're not. Yeah.
Hey, maybe we should do the top 5 uggos. No, that's not doing that.
I'm lost for a minute. So it was. So it was Kim, Jeremy, Denise, Tyson. Who was the 5th?
Michelle.
We think Michelle. The show set it up, but I don't think Michelle was on board.
Okay.
That's my take.
But was she on board with the other? I didn't see her there, so that's why I'm confused.
Exactly. She voted for Tyson, who was on her alliance, but we didn't see where she was, and I think that I think there's a bunch of tape of footage of her talking to Nick Wilson about, hey, me and Nick Wilson, we got to look like we're not together because we're a twosome, right? And I think they still are in cahoots. I don't know. I think the show's not giving us enough to go on. All in all, I think Jeremy makes a good move by buying himself another day. Once you get into that 9-person situation, I think there's room to dance a little bit and at least room to negotiate. With 10 people, I think it's tough. So, I don't know. You think Jeremy's going? I'll put up a little poll. We'll do it at the end about who people think's going next week. I don't see Jeremy going next week. I think Tony's going to start some crazy shit.
Yeah.
And I think it could be almost anybody next week. And I think
because Jeremy could just be the easy vote, right, next time. And so they'll be like, you know what? We can take him out whenever we want. Why don't we go and do something a little different?
Yeah, I want to see something exciting happen. Like, as much as I want Sophie to go far and win, I know I can't beat Paul now in terms of numbers unless Wendell gets back in the game somehow, which...
Yeah, when are they going to bring somebody back?
Yeah.
And what number is that going to be? Is that going to be 4, 5?
Might be the final show.
I think it's
probably
final
will
5.
be the final show. There's 9 people still left, and there's only, what, 3 shows left?
3 shows.
I think there's actually 4 shows left because
really?
they're giving... Yeah, and okay, so the last show is 3 hours.
3 hours. It's going to be 3 hours long.
It's always 3 hours, right? It's 2 hours plus the reunion show. And that they've been going long with the episode and making the reunion show tiny. I think they're going to make the reunion show bigger because Boston Rob's on and everyone wants to talk about Boston.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to do something a little bit different, though, because they have the Edge of Extinction people come in right at the very end when it's jury vote time. And they've been sitting there for 20 days with those same people in the Edge of Extinction. Then they're clearly going to win the jury vote. Right? Like whoever comes from the Edge of Extinction. So there's got to be some way in which they can like shake that up. If not, then like whoever comes in from Edge of Extinctions in the top 3 is just going to win because everybody else is going to be like, yeah, fuck those people. They all voted us off. And Tyson or Boston Rob or Yule, whoever is going to win is just like, yeah, let's just, that's the person we should vote for.
I think you'd be right in a newbie season, but in a season with all kind of Survivor veterans who kind of played the game before this Extinction Island, I think that they have enough respect for the game not to vote for somebody who's only played it for 6 days and was on Extinction Island for the rest.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Because for the longest time, for the first 25 years, like the biggest, 22 seasons, the biggest controversy ever was Pearl Islands having the 2 returnees who got voted out and coming back in. It was like universally panned by Survivor players, by Jeff Probst, by everyone who watched Survivor. They hated that aspect that you could win the game when you got back in. They never used it again until they got desperate in season 22 or something.
The reason they did that is so Rob and Russell could be on the screen and have a chance to get back in the game.
That's right, yeah.
Go ahead.
I really think that's probably true as well. As most of this jury, the majority of this jury, because they're all former winners, are going to have a lot more importance on who actually played the best game.
Unless it's Nick Wilson. There's no way the jury is going to be like, oh, Nick Wilson, we love that guy. He's so charismatic and interesting. They would not vote him the winner just to save the legacy of Survivor.
Well, that's
we
what
cannot
I'm
have
saying.
him.
If he's at the end, he's probably not going to win because he didn't play the best game.
But who has played the best game so far? That's just...
Well, we don't know. When we have the final 3 and we do the talk the next day, we'll break down the final 3 and who.
Yeah, but thus far.
But I'm saying to this point, though, that no one's really head and shoulders above anyone else, right? There was
no, okay, but there's people left, and someone of who's left played a better game than everybody else. That's all I'm saying is whoever is left at the end. Most likely the people are going to vote for whoever that's left who actually played the best game.
Yeah,
well, sure.
So there's still room for Nick Wilson to play the best game, Ryan.
He could still turn it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no question about I don't think the edit that he's getting is necessarily going to allow for that to take place.
Yeah.
I think you could still see Jeremy doing it. You know what? If you're going to have a best player of the game so far, I think Tony has played very well, and I think Sophie has played very well, and Sarah to a pretty close extent. I think those are your top 3 players in the game right now thus far. I don't know. Anybody else hot takes on the outside of this?
Ever since Denise had that one really amazing episode and hasn't really done anything since, we're considering her as not a threat for anything.
I mean, they're all threats. She hasn't made any decisions. And even that night, she didn't really make a decision. She was just loaded with advantages through, I won't say dumb luck, but, what did she find one? And then she was able to get another advantage through.
Cassandra just gave it to her, yeah.
So that was a cool thing that she did. It was interesting, and it was an interesting vote that she did to get Sandra out. I don't know if that was ultimately to her benefit. I don't think she's in control of anything.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think that overall the game that she's played has been that phenomenal. She's still in it. She won an immunity. She's a cool lady. I like her a lot. Her daughter is 16 or 15 and a half, and, she still needs her parents. Thanks, Jeff. That's great. Can you believe it that your daughter is out here at 15 and a half, and isn't it nice to know she still needs her parents? Like, fuck is living on their own at 15 and a half, Jeff? What are you talking about? He's a weird guy. He's so out of touch with normal humans, right? He lives in like some weird mansion somewhere.
Do you have any thoughts on anyone on Extinction who may have played so far, as long as they were in the game, as good as anybody who's still in the game, who, if they got back, had an actual legitimate shot to take the sole survivor?
None of the people on Tyson, just because of screen time and the amount of who stayed in the game, but no one else ever really had any control over the game. I can't name a move that anyone was able to pull off, whether that be Boston Rob, Amber, Parv, Danny Boatwright, Adam. Right? None of these people were all very ineffectual as far as this game goes.
Like when Wendell and Yule lasted a while, Tyson was off and then back. Those are the only three maybes. And even Wendell and Yule really but that's what I mean. Like, it seems like people who are on Extinction and who are still in the game, it seems like nobody's really done anything. Like, there's a lot of people who have really not done anything other than...
Maybe a lot of people have done anything, but we just watched 25 minutes worth of family visits, so we have no idea.
Let's get to the family visit then.
Quick also.
I'm going to guess that Randy, because everyone else hates it, loves the family visit.
You know what? I'm sorry. I'm going to be honest here. I have 2 kids, and I was like bawling. Like, when those kids came out, and I have 2 kids of my own, and I'm like, I loved it. I'm a sappy guy.
You can't tell right now, but I'm going to the Facebook page and I'm booting Randy from the
You can't boot him out of the pool because he was never in it.
Yes.
No, from the Facebook group.
Here's what I'll say about the old Survivor, though. At least they saved the family visit till like 6 or 7, I believe. Yeah. So you actually got to spend time with these people, and there was like a story, and so it did have a little bit of an impact when they've been away for that long, and it's been whittled down so much. But bringing in it at 10, and then having all the people who also got like evicted have their family visits, it's really cheapening the family visit.
And then not even have a challenge also.
This was a perfect opportunity to sequester all those kids into a Lord of the Flies type barbaric primitive society, right, with no rules, and just let them go to town. You've got an edge of extinction, a literal edge of extinction where Piggy's getting thrown off a cliff.
Your actual Survivor life depends on what your kids do right now.
Right.
There's no
a lot of pressure for an 11-year-old.
Mark Burnett comes out and he's like, "You children, it's wonderful you're here. We originally modeled the show off Lord of the Flies. Well, now it's time. Crikey. Here's your loincloth." So yeah, I think that's a real missed opportunity right there. I don't have a ton of stuff to say. I mean, I lived through the first segment, and I did think, so the reason Tyson, who's been on the show 4 times, as he points out, has never made it to the family visit, is because I think in his first season, I think he was like the 7th place or 8th place, maybe.
Yeah, 7th.
I want to say 7th.
In Token Teens, yeah.
And they brought the family people out at 6, which is the right and then 1 person each, and they have a fun little challenge, and then see you later.
Yeah.
We see close up. You guys have seen Top Gun, where like Kelly McGillis and Tom Cruise are like. We see Parvati and John Fincher.
That's all right.
Come on, Ryan. I was. Paul, did you pick a player of the game?
You know what? I did, but
let's hold off until we get there.
It's going to be about a 15-second segment.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I don't know. Any takeaways that you guys saw from the loved ones visit?
No,
Randy, any particular?
Reiterate how much I hate.
No,
how much what?
Just like some sob story about like how they missed their family and all. Like, who cares? You all do. Yeah. You're not winning any votes or anything. Like, it's not good TV. It doesn't. Like, I don't want to see it.
I can get.
I have 2 kids too, Randy.
I have 3. I don't see them for like 6 months at a time. I don't show up. Like,
wait. I know why I liked it. I was also I finished a bottle of wine by that time. So,
That's not the reason.
it kicked in too. I'm just like, oh.
And anyone I talk to who's going through this coronavirus thing has expressed like the deep dissatisfaction with having to spend every second with their wife and kids. They would love to spend 30 days out on an island without them right now.
Yeah, so the guy who does a podcast who I really like, Rob Cistern, he hasn't been on the show since season 8, but he does podcasts all the time. And he's like, man, they asked me back. I didn't want to go for the longest time, but now I kind of do because, oh my God, 2 months away from my wife and kids? Like, I don't care if I get voted out. Vote me right out. Send me to Ponderosa. I'll just live it up for 2 months. Care if I win Survivor. Yeah, I kept thinking of dismissive ways that if my kids came out, I could be like, just really been like, oh, what, you guys again?
You could have done something.
I thought they were going to bring my mistress. What is who are you?
It was just nothing. It was just like, it's supposed to be a feel-good moment, but like, I don't know. I just don't have the heart for it.
It's tough when there's like 40 people out there. Which one am I supposed to specifically bond with? Is it Nick Wilson's fiance? Right. Is it Jeremy Collins's 1-year-old kid? Or it's definitely John Fincher making out with Carter.
I think it's really just for like the viewers to kind of look and be like, oh shit, like look how horrible looking that person's significant other is.
I was doing that.
It's the same thing with
it used to be all about.
Thing like with these Zoom meetings. The only interesting thing about the Zoom meetings is you get to see inside people's houses and be like, holy, he lives in a piece of shit.
I wanted to ask you guys, because we've had a couple episodes now where tokens haven't really had a factor, and I was wondering after this episode, like, are tokens a bust now this year, or like is something like nobody in the game seems to be using these tokens to buy hidden immunity idols or anything of that nature? Like, are we going to have an explosion at the end, or is it a bust and was really only good for people on edge of extinction to buy to better their chances to get in the game or something?
I think it's a format that'll be tinkered with. I don't think it's brought what they thought it was going to bring. So I think they'll adjust it going forward, but I think it's probably here to stay.
I don't know how many how many tokens most of the people still in the game have at this point. But Ryan, did you remember, like, I know we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, what things cost?
You can't buy an idol for players in the game.
You
can't buy an idol if you're in the game.
Okay.
You can only buy luxury. The only thing that's remotely useful, maybe, is stealing a trip on somebody's reward. Like, you could spend 3 or 4 tokens and like go on a reward and take somebody's place.
There's no gameplay related stuff that they can buy with these tokens.
What if the jury members who have any tokens get an extra vote or a vote for every token they have?
Oh, well, then that's the end of Survivor. Because then you're going to have, I mean, I don't know. I don't hate it, but you'd have to know that going in. And I kind of like that one person has, like, every person has a vote. Wasn't there a show where one guy didn't get to vote at the end? It was Neil.
You can nullify.
Neil didn't get to vote at the end.
You nullified the jury vote.
Fucking stupid, man.
Yeah.
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's stupid enough to have every jury member, like every single person who's on the show, have a vote. We're going to have a 16-person jury unless somebody else pulls the flag. I thought Ethan was going to pull the flag right there. He's like, I'm not going to be away from you for one more second. Not one more second. And they were sitting right next to the flag. I thought he was just going to turn around and
totally
the chain.
I totally thought that.
And then the floodgates would be open for Randy. Oh my God. That would have been cute. It would have been cute. The only bit of the family visit I liked was Tyson's talking to his daughter. Do you even remember me? See, this is what Daddy does. This is my work uniform.
Oh God.
This is what I do. I run around in my underwear. That's the ocean over there. That's my bathtub and my toilet.
That made me not like him even more.
Well, that's so funny.
Yeah, it's funny stuff. So apparently the only reason kids were allowed on, I read about this, because Tyson held out and he said he wouldn't come on the show. Although I can't believe Tyson would have a hardline stance. What else does Tyson have to do? But he wanted his
come on unless his kids
unless the kids came on the family visit, and then
it was his idea. For sure.
Wow.
Yeah,
well, now I don't like him either.
Well, yeah, we did have to endure a lot, but I do like his kid. She's really cute. I see her on Instagram all the time. Just the interaction, I think, is very funny that he has. And Jeff's like, Tyson, what's it like? You played with Rachel last time, and you hadn't even made a baby.
He's from another planet. He's
He's from just another planet where like English is his fourth language. And it doesn't how you interact. Yeah, apart from the other, I don't see anything else that was super interesting. Parv's baby is like 4 months old, I want to say. You're bringing a 4-month-old to Fiji? Okay, that's cool.
Why don't you just leave that with grandma?
They fly for free.
Yeah, well, then there's no real benefit to bringing them, right? If you're saving something. I didn't think there was anything interesting in the challenge whatsoever. We've seen that challenge, I want to say 4 times now. I don't hate that challenge, but it's kind of going back to the challenge well. Add some kind of instead of spelling immunity, have them spell like, I don't know. It's something that, give me like an 8-syllable word that, it's a stack.
Right.
I think would be a little bit more fun in the challenge.
With a lot of X's in it.
The one thing is notable, I guess, is this the first time Tony's ever won an immunity challenge. So good for Tony.
Yeah. This is the first time in 3 seasons I ever won an immunity challenge. And I won a game of patience. Slow and steady is not what I'm made of. I'm made of fast and sloppy.
See, there's a winner's arc right there, though. If you're looking for,
I kind of think there almost is
kind of a winner's arc.
I'm starting.
No one else has a winner's arc.
I'm starting to see it for Tony, and I don't see it for anybody else. I think they're trying to pump up Sophie so that maybe we'll start to believe she might get some votes at the end, and then we have a 0-vote finalist like Nick Wilson, and I don't know who else is right now. We've still got 4 episodes to go, but I like the Tony arc right now. If Tony pulls it off, is Tony the greatest player of all time?
No. Sorry.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
I'm just not a Tony fan. I don't know. I'm not a fan.
It's going to be so much fun. Michelle's going to win.
He's interesting to watch. He creates chaos, which is kind of fun. I love his little hidden shacks to like spy on people. Like he's a unique player.
He's the luckiest winner, maybe.
Oh, did you see his season? Come on, he's great. He made ballsy moves.
Yeah, he did.
His first season, yes, he was clearly a winner of that season. This season, he's not clearly the winner.
No one is though.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Nobody's clearly the winner. So, I mean, to answer your question, he wouldn't be the best winner of all time because there's clearly in a season of all winners, it's almost a letdown that there's nobody that's been clearly, taking control. And
because do you know why? Because that person would get axed immediately. So there's a very reason for this understated gameplay, and it may not be good TV, but it's the right strategy.
Yeah, and like the best players were clearly the ones that were voted out immediately. Like Boston Rob, as soon as they could, they got rid of him. Like any chance they could get. So like he was the biggest threat in the game.
And they clearly thought Getty Boatwright was a huge threat.
Like they're just like he's the best player. These are the best players. We need to not have them around. Parvati, I guess. Like
Parvati is widely regarded as one of the greatest players.
These are the people that will win if they get to the end. So like,
if that's the case, and the understated is gonna be the best game, then we're looking at Ben and Nick best game.
But what would you say the best, like
most understated? Like they've.
I'm not saying the most understated.
It doesn't mean the most,
the best player, but some people, in some respects, playing an understated game can get you pretty far and can get you, at least into the top 3. And on occasion, it's good for a victory. It's rare that it is. My argument for Tony being the best of all time, that season that he won was one of the I think that was one of the biggest and best wins in the history of the show. If he can win against all winners, I think that puts him in the conversation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He puts him on the Mount Rushmore of Survivor, regardless.
Puts him top 5, baby. Top 5, baby. That's a Tony quote from the first season that he was in, which gave up his spot, and he still somehow managed to dodge it. I think he'd be in the conversation for sure, but whatever. Let's cross that bridge. We'll say that for the final 3-hour Sykes Survivor talk directly following the 3-hour finale. Finishing at about 2 a.m. for that one. And Junior, you'll get that spreadsheet out 5 minutes after the show's over. You get that spreadsheet out. Speaking of the spreadsheet, let's turn it over to Junior for spreadsheet talk. Junior, you got any interesting takes? I had a question for you about the spreadsheet, which was an idol was played on Denise. Does Denise get no points for that?
No, because you get points for playing an idol on yourself or for someone else. Had she given the idol to Denise and Denise played it, Denise would have got points for playing it. And we do have points given out for people who give their idols away.
Yeah.
But she actually played it for Denise, and we've always scored.
That's right. Way. We'll revisit the scoring system after this season because it's gone bananas. We're giving away 5 points left, right, and center for fire tokens. But then I think this is an interesting bit of gameplay. But that's okay. If that's the scoring, I abide by the scoring. Any other hot, interesting insights for scoring this week?
Nothing major. Tony got the individual, and he got 2 tokens with his win. 2 advantages were played: Jeremy and Sarah.
Kim.
And then the immunity.
Oh right, yeah.
Kim for Denise. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty simple.
Fairly straightforward scoring. No movement overall in the positions of the top 3 players, but Caitlin is excited to see that despite having 3 players left in the game, 3 out of 9, she is dead last. Which happens when you pick Ben and Nick Wilson.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Well, she's very upset. She doesn't understand, but now she's very excited that she could possibly finish dead last, which I find in seasons past, when I'm
only 10 points behind her with only 2 survivors. So I'm hoping that someone on her team actually gets some fire tokens or something and bumps me to last.
Yeah. Well, here's hoping. I mean, hey, if Nick Wilson ends up getting to the finals, then you have a pretty good shot at that. Paul's still somehow in first. Oh yeah, you've got 3 players left.
I got 3
That's
players
pretty
left.
good.
Yeah.
And Tyson continues to. I don't think he got any points this episode, but he's not doing.
Did he not give a fire token? Did he not have a fire token to give?
He didn't have one.
Did you? Oh, at the end, he didn't have any, and he walks by and he's like. He flips the bird to everybody, and I thought that was a classy move. I love it. That's great TV. If you don't have Tonys and you don't have Tysons, you don't have Adams, as much as Adams grading, like you got a pretty boring show.
Yeah.
So you really got to bring back people.
Brian, you need Michelle to do something for you to get some points over your brother there.
That's true. I do have Michelle. And Paul has Tyson, and I don't know, maybe I got Wendell, or Paul, did you pick Wendell too?
No, you have Wendell.
Okay, so there is a bit of a delineation there. As long as I can get Michelle to do something interesting, then okay, I forgot about that.
Both have Jeremy, Denise, and Sophie, but that's all Paul has left. So you also have Michelle. So your only chance at getting them would be to have Michelle get an extra 10 points here and there.
And look, if Randy's... Wow, really?
Yeah.
All right. Where's Leanne in this? It's 7th place. Look, you're only a few points. You're not that far out of 3rd.
Yeah,
and you've
I have
got
Michelle, Sophie, Kim, and Nick. So you never know. I don't know.
Good
we'll
picking.
See.
Especially
we'll see.
If anyone has people that make it to Final Tribal, you're getting Final Tribal points, and you're going to get the Sole Survivor points if you have 3 people going, because you got someone. So,
I don't know if anyone's ever gone 3 for 3 in terms of the final. But anyone coming back from Edge gets, I think, a decent amount of points too, because they got to win and then they come back. So I think that's what happened with Chris Underwood. Like he just came out of nowhere. He got a shit ton of points, and ultimately, I think you couldn't win unless you had Chris Underwood in your pool. Anyway, Junior, once again, thanks a lot for getting that spreadsheet up there so fast. Really appreciate it. I love that we do these the day after because that really forces your hand into getting it out.
I was scrambling for this one. I don't like it at all.
Listen, if you don't have time to do it, you don't have to do it. All right, it's fine. It gives us a little bit to talk about, but don't stress out about it, man. If you miss it 1 week, it's fine. Let's turn it over now to Paul Sykes for Paul's pick of the week, which is going to be great considering Paul has not seen the episode.
Yeah. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time with this, and I'm really disillusioned with what Survivor has become. I can't stand watching 8 minutes of strategy. I'm supposed to pick a player of the week out of the 8 minutes that they gave me. Really hard to figure out who played the best. Really hard to figure out who's aligned with whom and what their strategy is going forward. So I just put a bunch of names in a hat, and I drew one out because I think this is in the spirit of how random the Survivor edit has become. So here's your player of the game, Nick Wilson. There you go. How you like that, Ryan?
Best segment ever. We're going to move you up to lead-in the show. You're taking top spot.
Yeah.
Wow.
In his defense, though, he's managed to lose no weight.
His fiance was. It's in his defense also. He got $1 million, and then somehow people are willing to marry him. So he bought himself a personality. Oh, take that, Nick Wilson.
Wow, you really hate Nick Wilson.
No, I don't. I just there's so many people that I wanted to see on the show, and Nick Wilson wasn't one of them.
Right.
And in terms of the winners, it's a crime that Rich Hatch isn't on the show. I think that's garbage. But what are you gonna do?
Right.
Nick Wilson.
Me Too movement. What can you do?
It was pretty much the Me Too movement that killed Richard Hatch. So okay, yeah. I'm not gonna argue with that. I mean, if that's the way the producers want.
And tax fraud.
Also tax fraud, and he does badmouth the show all the time.
Right. Yeah.
He's a bit of a PR liability.
Yeah.
He did play a second time after that whole
an All-Stars
fraud debacle, right?
Yeah. I think that was before the tax fraud.
Was it? I think.
Yeah, because that was only. Yeah.
It's only 4 years later that he played again,
okay.
And the IRS hadn't caught up with him yet. But it was after that he went to prison. So. And then after that, they wanted him to be on Heroes Villains, but he couldn't because he had been to prison and he wasn't allowed to leave the country. So that's the legacy of Richard Hatch. And he wasn't allowed on this season because of last season when we had that creepy guy. And back in the second time he played, he ran a challenge naked and he rubbed his junk up against this one woman on the show. Somebody brought her up last week. It was Sue Hawk.
Yeah.
And she settled with production for an undisclosed amount of money because she quit the show the next day and she's like, I feel violated, all this stuff, and she was really adamant and vocal about it, and so she quit the show, and then she got some money for it, and
she spent it on a facelift and a boob job, apparently.
Yeah, she did spend some of that on a facelift and a boob job. But,
yeah.
We don't want to get too much deep into Survivor gossip from literally 15 years ago. So.
That's not gossip, that's gospel. It happened.
That's true. Those are true facts. There's a lot of Survivor rumor we could get into someday, top 5 Survivor rumors of all time. Certain contestants giving sexual favors to cameramen for a chocolate bar, but
Randy's next segment.
A whole segment on Survivor hookups.
Well, dude, look. Okay. So we've got, just real quick, the family visit here. We've got Rob and Amber, who obviously met on the show and got married. And then Parvati, her husband, was on the show in season 18, I want to say, John Fincher. And then there's a number of couples out there who appeared on the show together, Tyson and Rachel, Natalie and Nadia, or what's her name? Is it Nadia? Aren't a couple, obviously, but the sisters. So there's a number of people who showed up in the family visit who had been on the show before. Jeremy's wife.
Jeremy and his wife,
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, they didn't hook up because of Survivor, but you know, a few of them did, and it's I don't know, it's cute. I like to see those old survivors come back on the show, especially that John Fincher is still very handsome. How he didn't make Randy's list, but
What season was he?
18.
Oh, no, he didn't.
All right. Well, Paul, thanks for the segment. Are you going to watch the show next week if you can get it?
If I can get it.
Is this going to be a random alphabet style Dr. Sean Kenneth draw every week?
No, it wouldn't. If I had saw the episode, I would have like weighed in on it. But I was not able to get it off of the illicit site that I use to get these things. For some reason, it just didn't come up.
Fair enough. Does anyone have a take on who they thought was the player of the game? They have a real strong feeling about this?
Not really.
Sophie, herding everybody in.
Yeah, that was an interesting move. She's always in the conversation. I do think she's directing a lot of traffic. I do like Tony. We saw the most from Tony. Tony won an immunity challenge. Everyone was coming to him to talk to him. I think he made the call. He's the first person I see naming Tyson. So
I go with Tony.
He ugly cried during the family visit.
He sure did. And he got a couple of funny sound bites in. So, all right, I love it. We'll pick it up next time. Hopefully, Paul will get a chance to see the episode, and hopefully, we'll have some distinction on who actually played a game next week. I'm now going to turn it over to Randy for the closing bit, and Randy is going to run through his top 10 hottest survivors from the first 20 seasons. Even though I told him it was the entire season, it doesn't matter. He did it anyway.
That's so much work. So
yeah. So I got to share my screen, and I'm going to bring up all the photos, and then I'm just going to click on them. I'm going to click on them, and Randy can tell us about why he likes this person so much. Okay, great. So I'm going to. I don't know how to switch back, by the way. So if this is the last time I see you guys, you'll hear my voice, but I don't know how to share. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. I think. Can you guys see my screen?
No.
Okay. What's happening? No, not now.
No.
Okay.
You have to click share screen and then choose which screen or which window.
Got it. Got it. Okay, I'm gonna go in here. Oh no, I want to go in here. Don't look at all these students' names and student numbers. That's something I'm not allowed to put out there. There we go. Picks. Randy top hot. So I'm going to start off here with, this is Hunter Ellis. Randy?
Yes. Where is it? You have to click on it.
You can't see it?
It hasn't loaded yet.
Oh.
No, it's on my screen.
Oh, it hasn't loaded for us.
Oh, can you see me?
Nope. We see your screen, but it hasn't loaded the image yet.
Yeah, I can see all the images, but I can't, like in small form, but I can't see a blown up version of Hunter Ellis.
Oh.
Did you open it in a different window?
Let's try this again. Okay, I got it. I'll figure it out. There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
And his partner in that season is also in my pick for top female.
Look at those corduroys.
I don't know where you got these pictures from. These are not the pictures I selected.
You didn't send me any pictures, Randy.
I watched their season. I watched their tribals today. I spent about 2 hours watching tribals.
Seriously?
Yes. That's why it took me so long to get everything for you.
Randy, I'm starting to seriously question your taste in men.
Okay.
So, what season is Hunter Ellis? Is he season 2 or 4?
No, further down a bit, I think.
No, he played in, I want to say Marquesas, which is season 5, because I think Boston Rob had a hand in voting him out. So okay. I'm going season 5 for Hunter Ellis. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Anybody want to weigh in on this?
Yeah, kind of vanilla.
Kind of blah? All right.
Next.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I got to figure out a good way to do this. We'll go in no particular order. Okay. This is Randy.
Nothing's changed.
Yeah, we still.
What? You still? Okay. Okay. I got to figure out a better way to do this for next week. Sorry, guys.
Well, then let's just do it next week.
Nah, we're here. We got it. It's fine. There you go.
This is her name. See, these are not good pictures. These are
This is her cast photo.
Yeah, but on the seat, like cast photos versus being on the show.
I can't show a video clip.
I know, right?
This is Tawana Bradley from season 7, which is Pearl Islands, where we got to see Johnny Fairplay, and this is the first appearance of Rupert. I believe Tawana was in the final 5 or final 6, or was she?
There.
Yeah, I think she was part of that voting alliance. She's not unattractive at all.
No. She got really island hot, as I recall.
Yeah.
I do think she got island hot. I will agree with you there.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can find another one of Randy's top hot. Okay, what can you see now? Anything?
Oh, you can see the screen with everything on it.
And now?
Still the screen with everything on it.
Okay, no problem. I got it. Here he comes. Ooh. Who's this handsome guy? Let's see. For people who aren't Randy, does anyone know who this is at all?
Yeah, this is mannequin number 27 from like Central Casting when Survivor would just.
Is this Sears model number 5?
These dudes have a very generic look about them. Yeah. I can't imagine this guy actually was like into Survivor and applied for it. I do know who this is. This is Greg.
He's the good old American cowboy from the first season of Westworld, man, right there. So
yeah, it's James Marsden.
He's Dolores's boyfriend.
Also, Cyclops from the popular X-Men movies. You're right. He does bear a bit of a resemblance in terms of his square jaw and handsome good looks. This is Greg Carey from season 10. He had a bit of a showmance with this woman, Jennifer Lyon, who was the first survivor. Oh, I'll leave this for Randy, actually, because I think she does come up later on. Bit of a showmance, super boring guy, voted off. I want to say he was maybe 5th or 6th in an alliance. The season that Tom Westman won. Tom Westman, guys. All right, so I'm going to go back to Randy's.
I feel like I'm on a tour or something.
Well, you know, what do you want me to say? Well, Randy's really supposed to be talking through these folks. Ooh. Okay, here's a...
I want to hear Randy's hot take on these. Sorry.
Okay. All right, you're right.
No, keep going. This is awesome.
I want to know why Randy picked these awful people.
Oh, come on.
Okay.
Stacy Kimball.
Yes.
Okay, she's cute.
Yeah,
I don't remember her at all, though.
No, not super memorable. Go ahead, Randy.
I think she was in season 15, 16, something.
Yeah,
like that.
she's around that era. She played in Fiji, which Earl Cole won, if I recall. Yes, that's right. And there was another. I thought there was another attractive. This was the season. Oh yes. Wait, no. This wasn't the season where they split it up by race, which was the most probably inappropriate theme that they ever had.
Cook Islands, yeah.
That was Cook Islands. This was not.
Yeah.
No, this was not.
This was the token Asian girl on this show, and then on Cook Islands, I believe they had 5. What I'm not going to get into the races. It was.
Are we supposed to be like picking them apart physically, like the show Hot or Not? Like her eyes are a little bit too far apart.
No, just general.
Her teeth are not like. Is that what the segment's about?
No.
Well,
attractiveness.
Yeah, general attractiveness. No, I appreciate the diversity that Randy's introducing here, apart from all those male models that we had prior to this. So no, Stacey Kimball. I like that you got some deep cuts in here. This is great. So that's Stacey Kimball from season 14. We're gonna get into. Let's go with another dude. Oh, here we go. Oh, everyone knows and loves this guy. Here he comes, guys. Ooh.
We don't see it. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Yeah.
Colby, come on. Season 2, season 1, season 2.
This is.
I approve.
Oh, okay. Now we've got a thumbs up.
This has got to be older Kobe because he's looking a little dad body in this one.
Yeah.
This is
with his mother in a car or something.
Correct. It was only over the shirt action, Greg. Come on. This is the Colbster from season 20 when he was manhandled by, I don't know, pretty much everyone he went up against.
Coach was the famous
Coach kicked Coach. That was the famous scene.
Yeah.
Where Tyson commented on how Colby was owned by Coach.
Yeah.
And somebody else, James Clement, commented on how Colby was like some guy, fat suit or something like that.
Superman in a fat suit.
But that never made any sense to me, the Superman in a fat suit analogy, because that would mean that underneath the fat suit, he was really ripped and the strongest person in the world. I thought it was a lame.
Yeah, I mean, most of the things James said were kind of mixed metaphors.
It didn't make any sense.
Made a lot of sense, yeah.
Yeah. Are we thumbs up or thumbs down on Colby? Leanne's a hard yes.
Thumbs up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good job, Randy.
Okay. So Colby is a very charming guy. I wouldn't mind seeing Colby again. Oh my God, just to see how Colby has sort of gone downhill, because we can already see this going on up here.
Right.
Right. We have a little bit, and that's 10 years ago, guys. What's Colby doing now? Who knows?
Right.
He was on a podcast about 2 years ago with Rob, and he was drunk off his ass. And I thought
he sure was.
He sure was, wasn't he? It was cool to hear from him, though. Also on that podcast, given that we're here right now, I got to get into the same podcast. And
is Reynolds coming up?
No Reynolds, but here we
Eddie.
go. It's not. No. Yeah. Oh man. Unfortunately, not. Sorry.
Oh yeah, it's only the first 20 seasons. That's right. Yeah, I'm not gonna have Reynolds already.
You guys got this one?
Still Colby.
Okay. New share. Got it. There you go.
Oh, Burton.
Yeah,
that's Burton. Oh, I got another Burton here for you.
What?
You guys like that one?
No.
I figured out how to toggle that. Yeah.
Is that from his softcore porn days?
I love a man in jeans.
How does he look any different from this guy? He's pretty similar. Now there's bearded.
I think
Burton.
he's a little bit more rugged Burton than the other guy.
Yeah, he's definitely more rugged, but look at that. Ooh, wow.
What a dreamboat.
He is a dreamboat. He was also on the same season as Tawana. He was one of the, so we were talking earlier about the controversy in the game where we had he was one of the first people to ever return after having been voted out in season 7 as one of the outcasts.
Yes.
He made it to, I want to say 5th place, 4th place, something like that.
I think it was 5th.
Something, and then Johnny Fairplay fucked up the vote and he ended up getting voted out. So that's Burton. Let's see who else we've got here. Randy, did you want to have any specific commentary on Burton?
You just bypassed Gina, though.
I'll get there. How do we like these sweet jeans?
I know.
I like the chords better.
Yeah, the chords are definitely better. Okay, we'll let's leave that one for later. There's Gina Cruz. Okay, Randy.
I love her. I just love, like, she's just got a fresh look. Like, she was older in the season, and she's just a very attractive woman. Just find her very beautiful.
Which season was she from?
Same one as Hunter.
She's season 4, Thailand.
Oh, okay.
Thailand, and Hunter
That's a tough
was Thailand
season
also.
to rewatch.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
Can't do it, man. It's a real brutal rewatch, it's just full of horrible people. So.
It's the worst.
Not Gina. Gina's nice. Yeah. And Randy, I agree. She's an attractive older lady. She's probably 60 now, but she looks good in this picture from season 4. Right. Okay, there's Hunter. There's Burton. There's Burton again. Oh, no. Okay. Tawana. There's this guy. Oh, there we go. Okay, so can you guys see this?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's Jen Lyon, right, Randy?
Right.
Yep.
Season 10. Notorious, not notorious, I should say, but Jen Lyon was the first person on Survivor who was part of the Survivor family contestant to die in real life. She died of, I want to say, breast cancer.
Yeah, it was cancer or something. I forget what.
Probably 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And which is very sad. But she had a bit of a showmance with this guy.
Yeah.
And that's probably what she was most notable for, other than she is very attractive and she was bubbly and sweet.
Yeah.
Randy, do you have special memories of Jen Lyon you want to share with us?
You know what? No, she's just attractive blonde, and I'm not really into blonde, but. Yeah.
Okay, let's see if we've got any more blondes. Bring on the blondes.
There's one more.
Oh, I'm going the wrong way. We do. Oh, there we go. Okay.
Okay.
I loved Amy. I just thought, once again, older woman, and she was.
I mean, she's maybe 35 here.
Well, back then I wasn't, so.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. You were about this. You're in the same sort of era. Okay. Yeah.
Era. So.
Amy came back. She played on Vanuatu. Came back and played again in Fans vs. Favorites. I agree, very attractive. If anyone, and I tried to find some appropriate pictures that I could actually show of Amy.
There's a lot of
photos.
Yeah.
If anyone's interested when they're done with this I had to clip this.
That's her?
Mm-hmm.
That's Amy. Amy posed, before she was on Survivor, she did a number of Playboy spreads, which are readily available on the internet. And I didn't put up any of the photos here because I wasn't sure who'd be showing up tonight or who would be watching this. maybe some kids watch this. I have no idea. So that's Amy. She is an attractive woman. Kids, whatever you do, don't go onto Google and search for Amy Cusack, nakedest lady of Survivor.
Wow.
And as a side note, that Survivor Vanuatu, I think, is a very underrated season. I think it's
Underrated.
Got a very strong cast, a very interesting arc, and a very unpredictable final end game. So give it a watch if you have a chance.
Jeff hates it. I love that season. I think it's probably my most underrated of the seasons. I think we've there you go, Rand Man. We're close to the end here, guys. Don't worry. This is why I tried to limit it, Randy.
But you know what? As an older man, gotta appreciate the older man.
Sure.
So there's my pick.
That's, guys, for Randy didn't tell us who this was. This is Tom Westman from season 10 and also from Heroes vs. Villains. He's a fireman. I think he lasted the longest in a challenge ever of all time, something like 14 hours. He was on a pole. He clung to the pole, and he outlasted this kid by basically conning him to get off the pole, which was very slick. It's the same season that Stephanie LaGrossa was on from Randy's picks of last week.
Right.
And an all-around nice guy. Tom Westman has aged poorly. That's Tom recently.
What?
Wow.
Wow.
No way.
So people wonder why Tom Westman wasn't on this season as a former winner and one of the most popular of all time. That's
a good reason.
Yeah, he's had some health issues, I believe. And I'm not trying to throw Tom under the bus, but I thought that was kind of interesting. I haven't done that with everyone. And I think that's it for Randy's hot babes.
Yeah.
Of the first.
That's a good note to end on. That picture of fat Tom sitting there.
Okay. I'm going to give you my list for next week, but let's pick better pictures.
Randy, if you want to send me the pictures, I'll put them up. I got the pictures last minute.
I just watched the tribals. I watched so many tribals today. Holy cow. It was fun.
Why?
I don't think the issue with that top 10 was the images, Randy.
Come on, that was fun to get the images up there, Randy. So, Randy, what's Randy's bit for next week? Randy, are you going to continue on with your
season 21 to 40 top 10 listeners?
I'm surprised you're not doing top 10 from season 21. Top 10 from season 22.
I'm good.
All right, man. That's great. Well, we look forward to it. Does anyone else have any other bits they want to do?
I actually have to leave. I had an 8 o'clock Zoom meeting. So
That's cool, man. No, we're wrapping this puppy up now. Anyway, great, Randy, great to see you. Nice work. Thanks to everyone for joining us tonight on Sykes' Survivor Talk. Hopefully we'll see you guys next week at the same time. I think it's the same time. It's getting kind of nice out.
Yeah.
I don't know if 7 p.m. is the greatest time to do this, but we'll discuss. If the time changes at all, then I know Greg would like that Sweden.
There's only 3 left also. So.
That's true. Yeah. Sure. All right. Thanks, guys. See you next week. Till then, got nothing else for you.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.